When I built my lake cabin, I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I wasn't building a mansion. I wasn't chasing some magazine-perfect aesthetic. I just wanted a quiet place by the water where mornings smelled like pine and coffee, not traffic and deadlines. The design was simple. Reclaimed timber, dark stone foundation, large front windows facing the lake, and a sloped metal roof to handle heavy snowfall. It looked rugged, practical, honest. Apparently, honesty is offensive to certain people. Her name was Patricia Wexler. But nobody in Pine Hollow Estates called her that. She was just the HOA Karen. And Karen absolutely hated my cabin. It started with a letter. Notice of non-compliance. Reason: exterior design inconsistent with neighborhood harmony. I laughed when I first read it. I thought it was a joke, some bureaucratic nonsense that would vanish if ignored long enough. It did not vanish. A week later, I received a second letter. Then a fine. Then a demand for immediate redesign approval. According to Karen, my cabin was visually disruptive and detrimental to community prestige. Prestige. We were talking about a wooded lakeside area where half the homes had mismatched siding and at least 3 residents kept boats on their lawns year-round. But Karen had recently become HOA president. And power, apparently, had awakened her inner architecture critic. I tried diplomacy first. I attended the next HOA meeting. I brought plans. I brought photos. I even brought fresh pastries from the town bakery, a peace offering. Karen didn't even look at the documents. She adjusted her glasses, peered at me like I'd tracked mud across her carpet, and said, "Your cabin lowers property values." I asked politely what exactly was wrong with it. She said, and I remember this word for word, "It looks like a lumber shed that got ideas above its station." The room snickered. That was the moment I realized something important. This wasn't about design. This was about control. And Karen loved control. Over the next 2 months, she escalated. Daily violation notices, weekly fines, threats of legal action. She sent inspectors who photographed my chimney from 12 angles. She claimed my wood stain was aggressively rustic. She said my porch railing was aesthetic clutter. One afternoon, I found a bright orange warning sticker on my front door declaring the structure under review for structural nonconformity. Structural. The cabin had passed every county inspection. But HOA rules, I learned, existed in a universe where logic did not apply. That's when I started documenting everything. Every letter, every fine, every conversation. I also started researching Karen. Not in a creepy way. Just neighborhood awareness. Karen prided herself on her immaculate home. White siding, decorative stone walkway, imported shrubs trimmed to geometric precision. She even had a small sign near her mailbox reading, "Community standards begin here." It was the kind of house that looked less like a home and more like a showroom. And Karen guarded it like a museum curator. Which gave me an idea. A legal idea. A beautifully compliant idea. See, Pine Hollow Estates had a community waste collection agreement. Residents were required to use designated temporary holding zones for bulk disposal before pickup days. The rules were vague, very vague. They specified that bulk waste could be placed in any accessible and HOA-approved staging area. The HOA-approved staging area was a rotating location selected monthly by the board president. Karen selected it. Guess whose house bordered the only paved corner lot large enough for staging? Karen's. The rules didn't say waste had to be pleasant. They didn't say it had to be hidden. They didn't say anything about appearance. They only required compliance. So I began submitting formal requests. Bulk disposal notices, renovation debris notifications, community cleanup proposals. I volunteered to coordinate a neighborhood beautification drive. Karen approved everything. Because on paper, it all looked like civic responsibility. The first delivery arrived on a Tuesday morning. Old fencing from a neighbor's property upgrade. Perfectly legal bulk waste, placed neatly at the designated staging corner, 3 feet from Karen's manicured hedge. She watched from her porch, lips pressed thin. The second delivery came 2 days later. Discarded landscaping rocks from another resident's redesign. Again, properly documented. Again, perfectly compliant. By the 3rd week, the staging area had become the busiest corner in Pine Hollow Estates. Broken patio furniture, unused bricks, tree branches from seasonal trimming. Old mulch bags, all legally deposited, all scheduled for pickup, all in accordance with HOA policy. Karen began sending warning emails. But every item had documentation. Every placement had approval. Every rule was followed. Her own system had become inconvenient. She called an emergency HOA meeting. Her proposal: relocate the staging area. The board reviewed the bylaws. They couldn't. The rotation period had not ended. She tried citing visual disruption. The board asked if she intended to fine herself. That meeting ended without resolution. But Karen wasn't finished. She doubled my fines. She issued a formal demand for exterior redesign within 30 days. She threatened legal enforcement. That's when I played my final card. Remember all the documentation I'd been collecting? I submitted a compliance audit request to the county housing office. Not for my cabin, for HOA enforcement practices. The county launched a review. They examined selective enforcement. They examined unauthorized fines. They examined misuse of authority. And they discovered something fascinating. Karen's staging area decisions had violated sanitation guidelines multiple times, including her approval of oversized waste volumes without proper containment. The county issued a corrective order. Effective immediately, the staging area required expanded capacity and mandatory containment fencing. Where would that fencing go? Exactly where the staging area already existed. Next to Karen's house. Within 2 weeks, temporary containment barriers were installed. Functional, regulation compliant, and very visible. Karen's pristine corner lot now bordered the official community waste containment zone. Legally, permanently, she filed complaints. She hired a lawyer. She demanded removal. The county cited HOA documentation, signed by Karen herself. Meanwhile, my cabin, cleared of violations, fines dismissed, design approved. Apparently, when neutral inspectors reviewed it, they found nothing wrong with rustic architectural expression consistent with regional character. Funny how perspective changes when authority disappears. I saw Karen once after everything settled. She was standing near the containment fence, supervising sanitation workers with a forced smile that didn't reach her eyes. She looked at me across the street. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "You planned this." I shrugged. I followed the rules. She didn't respond. These days, mornings at the cabin are quiet again. Sunlight hits the lake. Coffee steams in the cold air. Pine trees sway like nothing ever happened. Sometimes trucks arrive to service the containment area down the road. It's not loud, just a distant reminder that systems built on control tend to collapse under their own weight. People occasionally ask if I regret escalating things. Honestly, I never escalated. I complied. And compliance, when done thoroughly enough, has a way of revealing exactly who built the trap. Karen wanted harmony. She got structure. Karen wanted uniform beauty. She got regulated functionality. Karen wanted to make my home disappear. Instead, she made her own view unforgettable. And my ugly cabin, still standing, still quiet, still exactly the way I wanted it. Turns out, the best design choice you can make is building something that doesn't need anyone else's approval to feel like home.